Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and today I am happy to say that DICE has gone in and given us a small little server-side update into Battlefield 4. There are only small little tweaks here and there, but the accumulation of them could change the game dramatically, and it honestly could be a magnificent patch that changes the way that we play Battlefield 4. And so the first thing that I'm really excited about is that the Stinger missiles have finally seen a nerf in their damage. No longer will they do 45 damage per shot against enemy helicopters. It's been dropped down to 35 damage per shot. And while it's still going to require only 3 Stinger missiles to take out a helicopter in the sky, at least it's going to give you some breathing room, because before this patch, 45 plus 45 is 90% of a helicopter's health, and basically if anything sneezes in your general direction in the helicopter at that point, you're gonna be a fireball. Like, you're gonna die almost instantaneously. And so hopefully with this small little update, it will finally give helicopters the breathing room that they need to get away from that engagement, activate their countermeasures, and then survive. And then speaking of countermeasures, the ECM and Flare has finally seen a reduction in their cooldown. The ECM, for example, normally before this patch took 30 seconds for you to activate it once again. 30 seconds feels like an eternity when you're in the attack helicopter, or really in any vehicle in Battlefield 4, and you're basically a sitting duck. And so what they've done is they've reduced it from 30 seconds to 25 seconds. As for flares, it had a little bit faster reload speed. It had a 25-second cooldown. Now it's being dropped to 20 seconds. This could be the change that we need to finally make helicopters a little bit more viable in the game. I don't know if it's going to make them the dominant force on the battlefield. I don't think that's going to be the case, but the fact that the Stinger missiles have seen a reduction in their damage is still only going to require 3 to drop helicopters, but the fact that we can now activate our countermeasures a little bit faster hopefully will be a night and day difference. And then on top of that, another small tweak is that they've toned down helicopters flipping over due to Stinger missiles. This is definitely something that needed to be done, because I cannot tell you how many times I've been in a helicopter, I've been flying low to the ground trying to avoid Stinger missiles, I'm trying to duck behind cover to avoid or block line of sight, and then that one Stinger missile, just the one Stinger missile, hits me, I flip over, I fly into the ground, and then that one Stinger missile killed everyone in that helicopter. Not because it did a lot of damage, but simply because of the flipping mechanics in the game. It took away the control of the pilot, it was extremely infuriating, and I'm so glad that they finally made this tweak. And then the final little tweak to air combat that in my opinion is just the cherry on top is that the mobile anti-air active radar missiles is seeing a nerf. The cone of fire, where it activates and locks onto a target, like a helicopter, its cone of fire is being reduced from 5 degrees down to 2 degrees. What this means for mobile anti-air drivers is that you're now going to have to be a little bit more accurate with your shot. You can't just fling these across the map willy-nilly and have them hit something randomly. Like that's basically what it was like when the game first released. Like a 2% cone is not a lot, and so you're going to have to line up your shots, you're going to have to predict where those helicopters are going, and I honestly think that this is going to be a fantastic nerf. It's going to require a little bit more skill on the part of the mobile anti-air driver. It's going to give a little bit more breathing room on the part of aircrafts. If you have a little bit more skill and you know that they're coming, you can avoid those missiles, and that's exactly how it should work. The Javelin has also seen a couple of tweaks here and there, and the main one is that its damage has been reduced from 34 damage per rocket down to 30. Honestly, this nerf needed to be in place, because before the patch, 34 damage per shot meant that you could take out any vehicle on the battlefield in only 3 rockets. That is an incredible amount of firepower, and with the upcoming Naval Strike DLC, boats were gonna get massacred. When you're in a boat, it's a lot of fun. You're in the attack boat, you're going around, you're killing people, it's great. But you don't have a lot of cover. If anyone is shooting at you with an RPG, you just have to be very maneuverable. But when someone's locking on with you with a Javelin, you have to break the line of sight, and because you're out in the water and there's usually not a lot of structures or rocks out there, you're gonna have a hard time breaking that lock, and it probably would be a little bit too overpowered. It was overpowered to begin with, but the fact that they are gonna be introducing Naval Strike in less than a week now for premium members, this is definitely was a needed nerf to it. They also made it so that you could not perform the Wombo combo, which honestly was also something that needed to be done. I made a video a couple of weeks ago where I demonstrated where you could basically have 2 rockets up in the sky, and because of the way that the Javelin's mechanics work, as long as you held the lock for the second rocket, both rockets would hit at the same time, and it would do 68% of a vehicle's health. And then one more Javelin, and you could quickly dispose of them. Like, it was flat out broken. Like, it was way too powerful. And so, personally, I'm glad that they made these adjustments. It's going to put it more in line with all the other rockets in the game, and with the upcoming Naval Strike DLC, it's not going to be blatantly overpowered. One change that I was not expecting is that the CBJ-MS, or what I like to call the nail gun, is seeing an increase to its damage at all ranges. This weapon, at least in my opinion, is probably one of the worst in the game, at least before this patch. It had a very low rate of fire, and while it did have an amazing hip-fire accuracy and it had a lot of rounds in its magazine, because of that low rate of fire and low damage, it was very challenging to take people out in any circumstance. Like, it was just an awful weapon. And so I'm very curious to go in and try it out and see what these changes are and see if it's now actually a viable weapon in Battlefield 4. If it is, great. I think it looks like one of the cooler weapons in the game. It's got a nice magazine size, great hipfire accuracy, and if there is more skill involved with it, which is fine because of that low rate of fire, as long as I'm able to kill people at least reasonably quickly, it could be a fun little weapon to try out. And then the final little tweak for this little update is that the AWS light machine gun is going to see an increase to its side-to-side recoil. Honestly, this needed to be done. I know that a lot of people hate it when DICE goes in and they make nerfs to some of their favorite weapons in the game, but this was a weapon that did need to see a slight little nerf. Like, it had pinpoint, like laser beam like accuracy, it had a high rate of fire, like 800 rounds per minute for a light machine gun is very, very high, and so it's easily one of the best light machine guns in the game, and arguably one of the best guns in the game. Like, it was simply fantastic, and so I personally think this is a step in the right direction. It needed to be done, and I'm glad they did it so quickly. But that is about it for this quick little update as to what is going on in Battlefield 4. Let me know what you think so far of these changes. Are you thrilled that the Stinger missile finally saw a nerf in its damage? Can you not wait to get back into the attack helicopter and try out the new flares? Let me know down below in the comment section. But until tomorrow, have a good one and take it easy.